Over the weekend, the Trump administration ordered the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau to halt almost all of its work. The CFPB had obtained nearly $20 billion in financial relief for U.S. consumers since its founding in 2011. Joining us now to talk about what's happening with the CFPB and also more broadly, Elon Musk's Department for Government Efficiency is California Congressman Khanna. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
So, Congressman, over the weekend, the CFPB had been ordered to, quote, cease all supervision and examination activity. You had recently told Forbes that you saw the CFPB as a potential way to work with the DOGE office. So, first off, where does this weekend's actions leave you with that?
Well, what I said is actually that CFPB should not be cut. I never thought that we should be working with DOGE on CFPB. And it makes no sense. I mean, they're stopping $711 million going to CFPB when CFPB saves $20 billion. I mean, this is the agency that protects Americans from overdraft fees. This is the agency that protects Americans from identity theft, fleecing your bank account or using your credit cards for improper purposes. This is the agency that protects you from harassing calls from debt collectors. So I have been a strong proponent of the CFPB, and I said that DOGE, even initially, should not be going after the agency.
It should not go after the agency, but did you see it as a potential source of collaboration between the Congress and the DOGE office? You know, if it's
No, I never did. I was focused on defense. I said that there's a bloated defense budget that is almost $1 trillion, and maybe DOGE could make recommendations on where we could have cuts on defense and have not just five prime contractors on defense. But I was very clear from even the beginning that there should never touch CFPB, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And I made it clear that, DOGE has to come to Congress. You can't just unilaterally stop these payments.
I was about to ask you about that. Last week, you had said that Musk's attacks on our institutions are unconstitutional. He should be subpoenaed and answer to our committee. Did Musk have a response to that?
Well, he responded publicly. He said, "Don't be a dick." But I've known Elon for a long time. My view is, if he's finding waste, if he's finding fraud, have sunlight on it. Be transparent. Just come to the Congress and share that.
I saw the tweet. I wasn't sure if I could say the word that starts with a D, but did you get to talk one-on-one? Have you spoken on the phone either about that exchange on X or about what happened this weekend with the CFPB?
I've communicated my views to him, and I'll continue to do that and continue to push to say that he should come to Congress, that he should find this abuse, should find the waste, and then come to Congress.
You have previously said that you and Musk had a very candid and relatively good relationship. How would you characterize that now? And do you see a way forward in working with?
Well, I always have an open line of communication to anyone, and my job is to help the American public. And what I would like to see is the Constitution followed. What I would like to see is that if there are efforts at DOGE to find wasteful spending, that be done in a transparent way, that those findings be presented to the American people, and then the Congress have an up or down vote on it. But we don't stop payments on Social Security or Medicare or veterans benefits or the interest on our debt or anything without involving Congress.
Now, the CFPB has been a frequent target from Republicans since it was formally established in 2011. What is your assessment that this weekend shutdown becomes a permanent closure of this office? And if it does go away, do you have a message for what consumer interests can do to protect consumers?
Well, first of all, the reason that Republicans don't like it is that many of the folks at the agency are pushing back on the big banks. I mean, they're protecting consumers. And they're protecting them for very simple things. I mean, if you write a check that happens to to not clear because many Americans are living paycheck by paycheck. You get all of these overdraft fees. This is saying, no, you got to limit that. It's saying that you need to protect people who get scammed and lose their life savings or their checking account. So I believe that we need to push for consumer protection, and that this will backfire on the Republicans.
It will backfire. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think the American public is going to say, why are you taking away an agency that protects consumers? I mean, this was created in a bipartisan way after the financial crash. Americans thought that they really were not treated fairly during that financial crash. This was designed to protect consumers, and why are you taking that away?
Now, since President Trump took office in January, it feels like a new agency has been on the chopping block every week. Where do you think we'll be 1 month from now as DOGE continues to look at every area of spending across the government?
Well, I don't know where we'll be. I mean, what they're trying to do is harmful, though. They're trying to take away funding from kids in working class neighborhoods for their schools, trying to take away funding for families with someone who's special needs and the education that they need, taking away funding for people who may need loans to go to college or higher education. And I think the courts will be blocking this. Congress needs to stand up and block it with the debt ceiling debate, and make sure that we don't give votes until they agree to spend everything that was appropriated and authorized by Congress.
As you're talking about some of the constituents that could be touched by these cuts and some of the policies you've mentioned, there are some broadly bipartisan policies that you have laid out. So have you talked to your colleagues who are kind of in the more purple districts, perhaps Republicans in purple districts, who want to protect their constituents but also feel loyalty to their party in this moment?
I have. I often say it just takes 3 Republicans for us to stand up for the Constitution, and I hope some of them will, because they should be wanting to assert Congress's Article 1 constitutional right. I was thinking of sending everyone Federalist 51, where Madison thought that people in Congress would never succumb to the executive branch, that we'd have too much pride in Congress's priorities. Why would we allow the executive branch to just eliminate agencies that Congress has created, and those agencies are helping actual people in communities, working class neighborhoods?
What do you expect the resistance to these DOGE cuts to look like in a month? I know we can't predict exactly what will come, but based on the conversations you're having with colleagues, will we see a more cohesive pushback?
I believe the courts are going to be very effective in pushing back, but I believe the Democrats in the Congress are going to be effective. I think we're going to say, we're not going to increase the debt ceiling. We're not going to just fund Donald Trump's government, and they're going to need Democratic votes for both without a commitment that the president spend every dollar that Congress appropriates. I mean, basically, we're saying for us to cooperate, you need to be constitutional.
You mentioned the courts. Could we get into a situation where there's just political football back and forth over some of these agencies and issues?
We could have a case where all these things go to the Supreme Court, but I believe that the Supreme Court is going to rule that this is Congress's power. And then if they defy the Supreme Court, we really have a constitutional crisis in this country. But I expect that we will have at least 3 Republicans stand up for the rule of law and stand up for what a conservative Supreme Court will find.
At least 3 Republicans. Would there be more, or is that the margin?
That's the margin. We just need 3. We're going to have all the Democrats, and they're not standing up for Democratic priorities. They're standing up for the Constitution. They're standing up simply for the sake, the principle that Congress gets to decide what we spend in this country.
Congressman, it's been a busy news cycle. I led with the CFPB and some of the other DOGE cuts, but is there anything we haven't touched on that has your attention that you want to share with the Forbes audience?
I would just say I am for effective government. I was one of the first people who said, if there's wasteful spending, let's look at it in a bipartisan way. I gave the benefit of the doubt to what the administration was trying to do, but they crossed the line by stopping payments, first in a portal, even for a few hours to Medicaid, and now to things like anti-malaria treatments overseas and AIDS drugs for people saving lives in Africa, and research that we do in terms of cancer and Alzheimer's and diabetes. And this is just wrong. It's wrong on the substance, but it's also wrong in violating the rules. If we're going to cut spending in this country, we follow the rules, and the rules are that you have to get the buy-in of the American people through the Congress.
Khanna, thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate your time and your insight.
Thank you very much.